This is Michael Popok, Legal AF After Dark. Let's talk about Georgia on a Halloween weekend and everything that's going on there, including not only Jenna Ellis, the third lawyer for Donald Trump, pleading guilty and is now a convicted criminal there, even though Donald Trump and his proxies are saying, we don't know why these people have been pleading guilty. There's no crime in Georgia. Well, we'll find out, Donald, as soon as you go to trial in sometime in 2024. Ben Meiselas and me, we co-founded Legal AF. We do the show on Saturdays together. And here's a clip of us talking about everything related to Jenna Ellis, all the people that are flipping on Donald Trump, the ones that are holding out and are not flipping, and what's going on with Mark Meadows. Learn more right here.
Speaking of tell me the facts and tell me the evidence, Jenna Ellis. Let's go to Georgia, Popok, in the criminal RICO case. Trump's lawyer, Jenna Ellis. Yes, the Jenna Ellis who got farted on by Rudy Giuliani in a fake hearing and then contracted COVID. And then, I guess a common theme here, attacked MeidasTouch back in 2020. She called us a D-list leftist something. I don't know what she called a D-list leftist. Well, there you are, Jenna Ellis, with crocodile tears, entering a guilty plea on a felony count in connection with the attempt to overthrow the election results in Georgia. In that guilty plea, she was crying and saying, I relied on the lawyers like Rudy Giuliani and smart lawyers, and I thought they would lead me into this. Wah, 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 wah. Michael Popok, tell us what went down in Georgia. And also, I gotta love that Judge McAfee has a little bit of a sense of humor here by Donald Trump incorporating by reference motions. Trump's lawyers were too lazy, right, to bring their own motions to dismiss on a lot of these occasions. So they incorporated by reference the motions to dismiss by co-defendants like Ken Chesebro and Sidney Powell and others, and people who have pled guilty. So you've incorporated by reference the legal arguments of guilty people. And Judge McAfee this week's like, okay, let's hold a hearing on that. Trump's lawyers, you can make the argument why the Chesebro motion and the Sidney Powell motion, which, by the way, Popok, you called it, those motions blamed Trump. Like the incorporated by reference motions that attacked him. Bizarre. Tell us about Georgia.
It's almost as if they don't read the motions that they're asking the court that they'd like to adopt. Interestingly, for a location and a venue that probably poses the second greatest threat to Donald Trump going to jail, Georgia, he seems to take it the least seriously. He has one lawyer, literally one lawyer assigned to the case, Steve Sadow, who's his latest lawyer, having fired a set of lawyers when they weren't able to get the indictment dismissed, or the special purpose grand jury dismissed, or the grand jury dismissed, or Fonny Willis dismissed, or anything else that they want. They fired them, and he hired Steve Sadow. And we like, okay, Steve Sadow, he seems to have a reputation in Georgia, knows his way around a courtroom. He hasn't filed one piece of original thought or original writing since he's been representing former President Trump. Not one. And so he's always doing me too. Oh, I like that set of motions, not anticipating that a number of those people, like Trump's former lawyers would eventually take guilty pleas and become felons, and therefore totally discrediting the motion that you just adopted for your own. And so just to make sure that they're not going to be, if I were Steve Sadow, I would have said, I would draw my reliance on those motions and I would draft my own motion related to something related to Donald Trump, but they haven't really done that either. And so the judge is calling them out. And I love this judge for many, many reasons. One, he just refers to Trump as Trump. If we put that piece back up, it's just Trump. It's not former President Trump. It's not President Trump. I always say that Trump should be actually indicted for impersonating a federal officer because he keeps calling himself President Trump when he's at best former President Trump. But this judge just says Trump's motion, Trump's adoption, and all of that. Jenna Ellis is a weird cat. I don't know how to put this any better. 2016, she went on social media to totally trash Donald Trump. She said he's a criminal, a narcissist, a sleazeball, and his followers don't have any judgment whatsoever. That was 2016 Jenna Ellis. By time 2020 ran around and she needed, I guess, to support her law firm, and she signed on for Team Crazy with Rudy Giuliani. She bought in completely. It became, you look at her social media then and to now, it was Donald Trump is a martyr. Donald Trump is a victim of the biggest heist, electoral heist in the history of America, and everything else. And then full circle, right back, 360 degrees. We're right back where we started. She's crying, as you noticed, and mocked her, rightly so, and blaming other older lawyers. Oh, it was the older white lawyer guys that led me astray. And then she almost named Rudy Giuliani by name. Rudy Giuliani's got a big problem. The reporting that's coming out now is that while Fonny Willis is busy strategically flipping lower level people and people within Donald Trump's inner circle, she has no interest in providing a plea deal to somebody like Rudy Giuliani or Jeffrey Clark or maybe even Mark Meadows and John Eastman. And I've always predicted, and you can put it down on the Popok board, although my board is decommissioned today, that the final four of the trial, it won't be March Madness. It'll be sometime after that, in before November of 2024. The perfect final four for Fonny Willis to try her case would be sitting at one defendant's table in front of one jury, presenting the evidence one time. Donald Trump, Meadows, unless she cuts a deal, Giuliani, Clark, and Eastman. If you were to pick the perfect group to try along with Donald Trump, it's this special breed of crazy. And to put them all together, because then it'll all bleed over. The crazier that Clark is on the stand in front of a jury, if he takes the stand, the better it is for Fonny Willis. Same thing with Eastman. And one of these morons will take the stand to try to defend themselves. Probably not Mark Meadows, but the others. And so I think she has visualized, when you visualize things in life, you try to attain them. She has visualized a trial, and that trial looks like that. And now she's going to flip people and give them in felonies where she can, but get them to ultimately cooperate, make tearful apologies. They don't all have to make a speech like that. That was Jenna Ellis's decision, to make a speech and dump on Rudy Giuliani and Ray Smith and some other lawyers that are still out there in the indicted list. The next thing I'm expecting, actually, I thought we'd be able to talk about it today, but maybe it'll take Fonny another week to process it, is when does Fonny Willis file her motion to set the trial of Donald Trump? Now that the 4 or 5 month period that was reserved on the court docket with Judge McAfee for Sidney Powell and Ken Chesbrough is off, there's a lot of free time on the calendar. Now she has to fit it between the March trial. I don't think she can go before March, but the March trial of Judge Chutkan and the May trial, maybe trial, I like to call it, of Judge Cannon in Mar-a-Lago. If Judge Cannon does what you think she's going to do, Ben, and get rid of May, I think Fonny's got her opening right there. Maybe she buys that fight by scheduling in May and then puts Donald Trump on the horns of a dilemma, because he really wants that May out there so he can use it to block and tackle the other cases. But he doesn't want that case out there because he doesn't want to try more than one case before the 2024 election criminally. He's got all these other civil cases that are going to trial and popping off in January and at different times. So if I'm Fonny Willis, I say, Judge, we got an opening on the calendar. We're ready to go. We want to try the following group together. And she just declares it because the judge is looking for Fonny to do the administrative work of figuring out which groups. He's said in the past, got to group these together. We'll probably do 2 or 3 trials. Tell me the groupings. She'll say, I'm ready for my grouping. I want it to be X date. I want it to be Trump, Giuliani, Clark, and Eastman, maybe Meadows. I want those 5. And he'll say, I got room in a courtroom for that. And the lawyers related to that. Okay, what date are you proposing? And here's where she could really call Donald Trump's bluff and say, I want it after March, but before November, and pick a date that then puts her in conflict with Cannon and see what happens with Cannon. What do you think, Ben?
Oh, Fonny Willis knows exactly what she's doing here, because on November 1st, Judge Eileen Cannon's holding the hearing on Donald Trump's request to delay all of the dates in the Southern District of Florida, Mar-a-Lago, theft of national defense secret case. Remember how Judge Cannon's continued to delay and delay. Then she set a hearing on the delay, and then a hearing now to delay everything. That's now scheduled for November 1st in Fort Pierce. So what Fonny Willis is doing is waiting to see what Judge Eileen Cannon is going to do at that hearing. The good news about Judge Eileen Cannon is her corruption is matched, in my view, by her incompetence, because now Judge Eileen Cannon is kind of boxed in. And sometimes it's not what you do as a lawyer. Sometimes it's what you don't do also, which is equally powerful, right? So by Fulton County District Attorney Fonny Willis not pushing for that trial date of Donald Trump yet, it now causes somebody like Judge Cannon, who shoots from the hip, and there's all these minute orders, and her docket is so confusing she's confused herself at this point. She rules on the request by the media to show up after a hearing takes place. Like, she has no clue. Like, it's really incompetent stuff. But now Judge Cannon will see Donald Trump requested that the dates get moved in the classified document case, which would move the May trial date. Fonny Willis is going to watch exactly what happens on November 1st. And based on that, I would expect November 2nd, November 3rd, we're going to see Fulton County District Attorney Fonny Willis issue a trial scheduling.
Which has its own poetic justice, right? All of these dates, like the one that Letitia James picked for the trial testimony of Donald Trump, the date that you're just talking about, it's all on top of the election day date, which matters 1 year and 1 year away from the other election that really matters, which is 2024. Election day this year, he's going to be testifying 1 day before the election day. She might be making the decision that you just perfectly outlined.
Well, look, here's the thing with MAGA too, as I always say, it's kind of fascism meets idiocracy, with that incompetent dimension that exists in the movement as well, that we should all be very fortunate about. What I'm saying right now can't be used by Judge Cannon to help her. So don't worry. She's already screwed this up. So what I'm about to say, you can't be like, Ben, you're giving her the roadmap at this point. If she really wanted to be the one to help Donald Trump, which she clearly wants to, she would have set her trial date in March, like when Judge Chutkan did. And she would have done all of the things that a trial judge can do, let jurors on who don't belong on, and kind of skewed it so that Donald Trump would get a hung jury or something like that. So Trump can run around and be like, see, everybody, see? But because she's so incompetent, and Trump's incompetent and also scared to go to trial, she thought she was doing Trump a solid by having this plan to incrementally delay the dates. But what that allowed was the DC case to take place in March. And now I think the Georgia case, and Fulton County District Attorney Fonny Willis is watching, that could potentially slide in for May, June right now. And then Trump, and this would be great for the nation, you have the two cases on Trump's attempt to overthrow the election take place before the November 2024 election. So Americans can see what a jury thinks about Donald Trump's conduct, both in state and federal court. We will, of course, keep you posted here on Legal AF.
All right, well, there's an example. If that sort of turned you on and you thought, well, I want to hear more from Legal AF leaders like Karen Friedman Agnifilo, Michael Popok, and Ben Meiselas, exclusively here on the MeidasTouch Network. Join us on Wednesday nights at 8 p.m., on Saturday nights at 8 p.m. We're usually the #1 show globally on YouTube Live. We get up to 30,000 people that just watch us record and chat with us while we're doing the recording. And then we take that YouTube audio or that video and we put it on audio podcasts wherever you can get your audio podcast from Spotify to Apple to Google and the rest. And we're top of the charts related to these kind of issues there too. If this is the first time you've ever heard about Legal AF, I implore you to go watch our show or listen to our show. If you know about Legal AF, welcome back. Appreciate you. And if you've been looking for a way to get your friends and family and others to know about the show, but you don't want to send them the whole hour clip, send them a clip, a hot take like this. this one. It's a bite-sized version. It's like one of those candy bars at Halloween, but a bite-sized version of Legal AF. Send it to your friends and family. Ask them to join our movement and have them join the MeidasTouch.com movement as well and be a free subscriber to this YouTube media platform. No outside investors, completely grassroots. Help them get to 2 million, because the bigger they get, the more your voice is heard. Until my next hot take, until my next Legal AF, this is Michael Popok reporting.
Hey Meidas Mighty, love this report? Continue the conversation by following us on Instagram at MeidasTouch to keep up with the most important news of the day. What are you waiting for? Follow us now.